Right here. I'm actually here to do kind of a different video. I was actually reached out by the author and the publicist of The Quiet You Carry by Nikki Barlsum. I wound up binge reading these this summer, and she asked to do both a mini review, but I also wanted to share some other hard-hitting contemporaries, which is exactly what I clarified this book as, because it definitely is more of a hard-hitting story that deals with much harder issues than normally come across in YA contemporaries. But I wound up thinking this book was so well done, and I'm also going to talk about the sequel, but I do want to preface it by saying all these books I'm going to talk about, except for one in this video, do deal with harder topics, and I will preface that by saying it. But this is The Quiet You Carry by Nikki Barlsum. It's a two book series. So you have The Quiet You Carry and The Quiet No More. And the first book follows a character named Victoria, and one morning she wakes up in the dead of night and there are cops at her door, and her dad is basically telling the cops that she tried to make a pass at her father sexually, and she is taken away to spend time in foster care in the first book. And it is quietly revealed throughout the book what actually happened that night, and it deals with a lot of hard issues that Victoria deals with. She also gets put into a foster care home that is a little bit of a trying experience for her. It's not an easy experience, but it does really remind me a lot of the TV show The Fosters, especially the first book, because she's still in high school and she's dealing with a lot of stuff. But there also is a really sweet moment of like friendship and romance in this book that was definitely the highlight for me in this read, and this is one that I wound up really enjoying. Wound up giving it 4.5 stars. There was a little bit of rushing at moments. I felt like the book, the pacing for the most part was okay, but there were some things that happened super fast. But other than that, I really wound up liking this book. And then the second book takes place in the aftermath of her of this book, and she's starting college, and she's kind of becoming a little bit more politically minded and politically motivated, and she has a more active role. It is set in the aftermath of the Me Too movement. Her dad's court case is prevalent in the second book, and it does deal a lot with PTSD and a lot of other stuff. But again, it's such a strong series that it really, I haven't heard a lot of people reading it, but it's one that I would really recommend if you like more hard-hitting stories that deal with topics of, you know, depression, anxiety. They're also, they do talk about suicide in here, abuse in many forms, and it was just a really heartfelt novel. If I had to choose, I think I would still say I like the first one because it had more friendship dynamics, and the romance was definitely one that I really did like, but I also did like the activism and standing up elements in book 2. So that's my thoughts on The Quiet You Carry and The Quiet No More by Nikki Barlsum. Now I'm just going to talk through a couple of books that I think are hard-hitting. The one author that always comes to mind when I think of hard-hitting contemporaries is Katie McGarry. So she has a couple of series out, but the two series I'm going to talk about for Katie McGarry is the Thunder Road novel. This is basically, there's 3 books in this series. There's Nowhere But Here, Walk the Edge, and A Long Way Home. And I wound up liking them. I think I like Walk the Edge and Long Way Home a little bit better than I like Nowhere to Run. But it basically set in the aftermath of a motorcycle gang, and every book follows 2 characters, but they're all like loosely connected. This book follows Razor and Brenna, which I love this book. I also really liked Long Way Home, but every book kind of has a premise. So the first book, the premise is the girl, like the new girl trope, a new girl in town, and they wind up becoming connected. That's Oz and Emily. This one is the bad boy versus the good girl trope, and then the Long Way Home is Blast from the Past romance. So they all have very different romance entanglements. But this one, I just like, I like the elements of the motorcycle gang, and I thought that it was just a really fun way to craft a novel. Definitely does deal with harder topics. This one personally deals with the aftermath of his mother's death and what that means, and there's a lot of other stuff dealing with Brenna's character as well. But I think out of all these books, I think I really liked Long Way Home. But yeah, this is another series that does deal with a lot of hard-hitting issues, and Katie McGarry is really good at that. Also, Katie McGarry recently wrote her new series, A Breath Apart. which that one deals with physical and sexual abuse as well for the main character. And the other book deals with, I'll say some interesting elements of ghosts and stuff. So it was very much like a creepy read, but not really creepy. And I wound up really, really liking that one. But the first series of hers that definitely like blew my mind. This series is probably like one of the first pure contemporary books I ever read, and that is the Pushing the Limits series by Katie McGarry. And I would say the first 3 books in this series follow Noah, Isaiah, and Beth, and they are 3 foster kids that their paths wind up crossing early in their lives, and it follows their love lives as life goes on. My favorite book in this series is definitely Cross the Line, which is Abby and Jason's story, and also Dare You To, which is Beth and Ryan's story. And these books really deal with so many elements. They follow a lot of the aftermath of abuse, sexual, emotional, physical, but also the aftereffects of the foster care system for a lot of these characters. And it's never an easy read, but I felt like I really got so invested in these characters. And this book I think is like 6. I think this book is 6. I think it's Pushing the Limits, Dare You To, Crash Into You, Take Me On, and then it's Crossing the Line, which I love. I haven't read that book in a while, but it's definitely one that I really do need to read, and they don't have an audio for it either. And this one follows Haley and Wes, who is the older brother of Rachel, and their romance was super cute. And this one dealt with MMA fighting, which when I read it, I was like, that is such a cool concept for a novel. But again, these are the books that kind of deal with the harder issues. So the next author I'm going to talk about is Morgan Matson, and I know many people say she does do a lot of fluffy contemporaries, and I do admit she does, but her books always kind of have a hint of harder topics. This book really dealt with a very unique side of friendship dynamics, which I don't think I've ever really read before, and I really, really wound up liking that. It's definitely a book that I've read multiple times. I have the audiobook for this one. Also, with Dare You To, there is also friendship dynamics as well. Second Chance Summer deals with the possible death of a parent, and Cancer is a very, very hard read. I don't think I can ever reread that book. It's just a very, very challenging one. And then you also have Amy and Roger's Epic Detour, which also deals with the aftermath of a death of a parent. And then you have Save the Date, which is a little bit more light and fluffy, but there definitely is a lot of family drama in that book, which deals the aftermath, the weekend of the characters. She comes from a really, really big family, and her sister's getting married. But overall, all these books are definitely ones that I would classify as hard-hitting or deal with harder topics, and I would definitely recommend that you pick up the Quiet You Carry series by Nikki Lee Barslom. Thank you so much for reaching out to me and offering to, and asking me to do this video. I had a super fun time creating it, and let me know in the comments if you do wind up picking up this book. I would love to hear your thoughts about it, and I will definitely be picking up more books by this author in the future. Talk to you guys later. Bye.